48-year-old Sarah Hartsfield's story seems straight out of a movie, but not the kind you'd watch for fun. This tale starts with Sarah being blamed for the death of her fifth husband, Joseph. Imagine 5 husbands. Now she's in deep trouble with the law. People thought they knew Sarah as a loving wife and a caring mom of 4, but a door to Sarah's mysterious past swung open when Joseph died. The quiet life in a Texas town took a sharp turn when police started digging into Sarah's history. They found out about her little brother's strange death back in 1990 and other scary stories that seemed to follow Sarah wherever she went. Whenever something terrible happened around her, people wondered if it was an accident or something more. Now Sarah is in jail, waiting for her trial, with a bond set at a jaw-dropping $4.5 million. That's a lot of money, showing just how serious this is. But here's where it gets even more twisted. As folks began talking, it turned out many were scared of Sarah. They said being close to her felt dangerous, like being in a thriller where you're not sure you'll make it to the end. Despite all these frightening tales, Sarah says she didn't do anything wrong. She's sticking to her story, waiting for a chance to prove she's not the villain everyone thinks she is. But with so many unsettling stories and her brother's odd death still hanging in the air, you have to wonder, what's the real story behind Sarah Hartsfield? In the small, serene town of Beach City, Texas, nestled on the outskirts of Houston, the community of about 3,000 enjoyed a peaceful life surrounded by the beauty of grasslands, lakes, and the vast sandy stretches along Trinity Bay. In early 2023, newlyweds Joseph and Sarah Jean Hartsfield began their life together, carrying hopes of a bright and loving future. Their story, which started with a spark on a dating app, quickly turned into a whirlwind romance that led them down the aisle within 3 months of meeting. Joseph, a 46-year-old parole officer from Huntsville, Texas, was ready to find love again. His heart found its match in Sarah Jean, a charismatic, intelligent 47-year-old and a 20-year military veteran. Having risen to Sergeant First Class, Sarah was a respected soldier and a devoted mother to 4 grown children. To Joseph, she was everything he had ever wanted, someone who made him feel like the most critical person in the world. Despite Sarah's history of 4 failed marriages, which left her questioning her judgment, Joseph saw in her a fresh start and a partner who treated him with the care and respect he deserved. The couple's decision to relocate to Beach City, a mere stone's throw from Trinity Bay, marked the beginning of their new life together. But beneath the surface of this seemingly perfect union were undercurrents that neither the residents of Beach City nor Joseph himself could have anticipated. The tranquility of their new life was shattered in the early hours of January 7, 2023, when the Chambers County Sheriff's Office received a distressing 911 call from the Hartsfield residents. Sarah, in a panicked voice, reported that Joseph, a diabetic, was found unresponsive in their bed, his blood glucose levels dangerously low. Despite her attempts to revive him with jam and juice, Joseph remained unconscious, prompting an urgent response from paramedics who rushed him to Houston Methodist Hospital. In the days that followed, Sarah took to Facebook to share updates on Joseph's condition, revealing that he had slipped into a diabetic coma due to poorly managed insulin levels, which then led to extensive brain damage. Her posts painted a picture of a devoted wife stricken by her husband's sudden health crisis. Yet, as Joseph's condition worsened, resulting in a stroke believed to be caused by years of unhealthy eating, Sarah's narrative began to raise eyebrows among those who followed the unfolding drama. The decision to remove Joseph from life support on January 15th, after 8 days in the ICU, was a moment of profound sorrow for Sarah, or so it seemed. Her actions in the hospital, banning Joseph's siblings from visiting and posting videos that some found unsettling, sparked a wave of speculation and concern. And when an online obituary claimed Joseph died from complications of a stroke, with his loving wife by his side, doubts about the true nature of his illness began to surface. These suspicions were not unfounded. Later that day, investigators learned from a nurse in the ICU about the possibility of an insulin overdose. This revelation prompted a deeper look into the circumstances surrounding Joseph's critical condition. A search of the Hartsfield home unveiled startling evidence: 10 empty insulin pens next to Joseph's side of the bed, contradicting Sarah's account of the events leading up to his hospitalization. The discovery that Joseph's blood glucose levels had been dangerously low for approximately 6 hours before help was called only added to the growing concern. It painted a grim picture of a calculated act, leading authorities to question everything they had been told. With mounting evidence, including the suspicious insulin pens and inconsistencies in Sarah's story, the case took a dark turn. Sarah Hartsfield, once seen as a grieving widow, was now under arrest, accused of orchestrating a sinister plot against her husband. As Sarah faced charges and the small town of Beach City grappled with the shocking news, many wondered what led to this tragic end. Was the loving image Sarah projected just a facade, and what other secrets lay hidden beneath the surface of Sarah Jean Hartsfield's life. Sarah had lived in 39 different places during her adult life, and Joseph was her fifth husband. This revelation alone was startling, but the stories from her past began to cast a long, ominous shadow over her present. Investigators reached out to her former husbands, uncovering a trail of fear and suspicion that stretched back years. Sarah's relationship ended with the same sentiment from the men, a desperate desire to escape, driven by fear for their safety. Chambers County District Attorney Cheryl Henry felt something was amiss from the start. Her intuition proved correct as one bizarre incident after another came to light, involving mysterious deaths, allegations of arson, attempted murder, and assault. The question arose, was Sarah Hartsfield a serial wife or something more sinister? To understand Sarah, one must look back to 1987 when a young girl named Sarah Jean Smith was taken to a Missouri CPS center by a woman desperate to rid herself of her daughter. That girl, suffering from the scars of abuse by her biological father and stepfather, was Sarah. Her life story, marked by inconsistencies and troubling behavior, began there. Barb and Steve Stewart, who took Sarah into their care, were warned of her complicated past, yet they could never have predicted the complexity and turbulence defining Sarah's life. Her brother's mysterious death, ruled an accident, was just the beginning of a series of tragic and bizarre events that seemed to follow Sarah wherever she went. By the time she married Titus, a trusting, good-natured jock from high school, Sarah's ability to charm and manipulate had been well honed. Yet the darker side of her personality soon emerged, revealing a controlling, vengeful individual capable of lying and stealing from those closest to her. Their marriage, marked by infidelity and fear, ended with Titus feeling fortunate to escape with his life. However, Sarah's hold on Titus didn't end with their divorce. She harassed him and his new partner Angela to the point of desperation. Vandalism, threats, and unsettling encounters became a part of their lives, with Sarah always seemingly one step ahead. The police, manipulated by Sarah's charm, sided with her, leaving Titus and Angela to fend for themselves against her relentless vendetta. After a chilling episode where Angela smelled gasoline outside their home, suspecting it was Sarah's doing, the couple faced an alarming threat. Someone had doused their house in gasoline, attempting arson. That night, they saw Sarah's car speeding away, linking her directly to the dangerous act. Despite reporting this to the police, the lack of direct evidence meant Sarah couldn't be charged. This event led Titus to secure a no-contact order through military channels, given his higher rank, showcasing Sarah's manipulative reach and the severe measures taken to ensure safety from her threats. This pattern of vindictive behavior didn't end with Titus and Angela. Sarah quickly moved on to Michael Traxler, a friend of Titus, immediately after their divorce. Their marriage soon soured, leading to a domestic violence call and eventually another divorce. Sarah's relentless pursuit of control and revenge seemed unending, painting a picture of a woman who thrived on turmoil and manipulation. Simultaneously, Sarah's career in the military highlighted a starkly different facet of her life. Ascending to the rank of Sergeant First Class, she was lauded for her intelligence and strategic thinking. Her ability to categorize and analyze information set her apart. Yet her leadership style was marred by intolerance for mistakes and a lack of empathy, causing unease among her subordinates. This duality of commendable professional skills and problematic personal interactions underlined the complexity of Sarah's character. Her manipulative skills extended beyond her immediate family, culminating in a sinister plot involving her grandmother's estate. After her grandmother passed, leaving the family farm to her brother Cody, Sarah's reaction was explosive. A heated argument led to her loading a U-Haul with possessions from the farm. Still, the situation escalated dramatically when Cody and his family were nearly killed in a fire at their home. A fire that seemed too convenient to be an accident, especially with Sarah's suspicious behavior and the presence of poison ivy. This clue pointed directly to her involvement. The fire, while not directly linked to her by law enforcement, added to the growing list of alarming incidents surrounding Sarah, each more disturbing than the last. After her grandmother's funeral, Sarah's subsequent relationship with Brian Altus showcased a repeating cycle of charm turning to chaos. Brian was quickly drawn in by her magnetic personality, only to find himself entangled in a web of manipulation and anger. The end of their relationship was marked by a dramatic and dangerous act of arson, leaving Brian convinced of Sarah's involvement despite the official ruling of faulty wiring. Following the unsettling end to her relationship with Brian Altus, Sarah's life took another dark turn with her involvement with David Bragg. This situation situation further cemented her reputation for volatile and potentially dangerous relationships. David, a 43-year-old Air Force veteran, encountered Sarah while working at Fort Hood, Texas. He was charmed by her and quickly fell under her spell, believing he had found the love of his life. However, this relationship was far from peaceful like Sarah's previous one. Sarah, who was still legally married to Chris Donahue then, moved David into her home under the guise of him being just a friend. Not long after, Chris and Sarah's marriage ended, and she and David got engaged. David had taken a job in Garfield, Minnesota, and bought a fixer-upper farmhouse, planning for it to be their home once renovated. Despite David's request for Sarah to wait until the renovations were complete, she couldn't be swayed. She began moving in with her children and belongings, disrupting David's renovation plans and causing tension. David's attempts to create a home were met with constant criticism from Sarah. Her temperament shifted dramatically from the woman he thought he loved to someone he barely recognized. This change alarmed David, prompting him to express his unhappiness and desire to leave the relationship to his family. But before he could act on these plans, tragedy struck. On May 9, 2018, police were called to the couple's farmhouse, where they found David Bragg dead and Sarah at the scene. Sarah claimed that David had become enraged with jealousy and attacked her, forcing her to defend herself. This account, however, was met with skepticism from those who knew David's calm demeanor and military precision. The investigation into David's death leading to no charges being filed against her. This outcome devastated David's family, who struggled to reconcile the investigation's findings with their knowledge of David and Sarah's tumultuous relationship. In the aftermath of David's death, Sarah quickly moved on, starting a new relationship and continuing her life as if nothing had happened. This rapid transition further alienated her from those who had once been close to her, including her foster mother, Barb, who decided to cut ties with Sarah due to the ongoing drama and danger that seemed to follow her. Sarah's life took another twist with her involvement with David George, a 59-year-old local farmer whose past intersected with Sarah's under mysterious circumstances. David, known in their small community for his quiet life and farming, was in the spotlight for all the wrong reasons after becoming entangled with Sarah. Their relationship began under the shadow of a tragedy just months before they officially became an item. George's longtime partner, Becky Kunz, had passed away suddenly. Her death was attributed to heart valve problems, yet no autopsy was conducted to confirm these suspicions. The rapid cremation of Becky and the swift removal of her belongings from the home they shared raised eyebrows among her family. Becky's brother, Dana Coons, expressed concerns about the hurried manner in which everything was handled, hinting at something amiss. Then, adding to the intrigue, the home that David and Becky had shared caught fire, with David asserting that he and Sarah were in Texas when the incident occurred. The year 2018 marked a turning point for Sarah, linking her to 2 deaths and a house fire, further complicating the web of suspicions that surrounded her. By the summer of 2019, Sarah and David George were married, marking Sarah's 4th marriage. David, seemingly under Sarah's influence, was described by her son Ryan as being utterly malleable to Sarah's will. Not long into their marriage, Sarah allegedly concocted a plan that showcased the depths of her manipulation. She purportedly pressured David into attempting to murder Chris Donahue's new wife, Heather, under the guise that it would secure custody of her children for her. Despite his initial reluctance, David found himself driving to Arizona, armed with a plan and a pistol provided by Sarah. The assassination attempt was a fiasco. George, posing as a flower delivery man, encountered not Heather, but Chris Donahue himself. The plan crumbled, and George, failing to carry out the heinous act, was subsequently ousted from Sarah's life. This botched murder plot could have remained a dark secret had it not been for Sarah's daughters, who, after overhearing their mother's plan, alerted their father. Chris Donahue took immediate action, contacting the FBI and securing full custody of the children along with a restraining order against Sarah. David George, once a devoted husband to Sarah, found himself abandoned and disillusioned. In a candid moment with a journalist, he reflected on his time with Sarah, summarizing their relationship as one built on manipulation and self-interest. According to George, Sarah had only ever truly loved herself and money. The saga of Sarah's tumultuous relationships and the shadow of suspicion that followed her took its next and perhaps most tragic turn with her meeting Joseph Hartsfield. Unbeknownst to Joseph, his fate would intertwine with Sarah's history of troubled relationships, setting the stage for yet another chapter in the unsettling narrative of Sarah Hartsfield's life. By January 2022, Sarah, having retired from the military on 100% disability, citing physical injuries, PTSD, severe depression, and battles with cancer, was poised to start anew. Her marriage to Joseph, however, was far from the fresh start she portrayed. Sarah's attempts to isolate Joseph from his family and control his every move became evident within months. Her behavior escalated, culminating in a chilling event on January 7, 2023, when she reported finding Joseph unresponsive due to a severe drop in his blood sugar. This situation led to his untimely death under mysterious circumstances. The aftermath of Joseph's death saw Sarah taking to social media, portraying herself as the grieving widow. Yet her posts and actions raised suspicions. The quick cremation, coupled with her peculiar behavior, prompted an investigation that unearthed a disturbing pattern, linking Sarah to multiple incidents and allegations spanning years. As the investigation deepened, Sarah's past came under scrutiny, revealing a trail of tumultuous relationships, mysterious deaths, and allegations of arson and assault. Her life story, marked by manipulations and accusations, suggested a darker narrative far removed from the image of a devoted mother and military veteran she had so carefully curated. The legal proceedings that followed saw Sarah facing charges for Joseph's murder. Her indictment was a culmination of years of suspicion and investigations into her past relationships, including the unsettling case of David Bragg, whose death had previously been ruled as self-defense. The reopening of these cases brought new attention to Sarah's complex and controversial history. In the courtroom and the court of public opinion, Sarah's narrative was one of defiance. She maintained her innocence, casting blame on those she claimed were out to vilify her. Yet the evidence and testimonies painted a picture of a woman capable of extreme manipulation and possibly worse. Sarah's son Ryan and her first husband Titus provided a glimpse into the turmoil and fear that seemed to follow Sarah. Their accounts, along with the investigations, suggested a pattern of behavior that left many questioning the true extent of her involvement in the tragedies that had marked her life. As the case against her progressed, Sarah remained a figure of intrigue and speculation. Her story, a blend of charm, manipulation, and mystery, continued to captivate those seeking to understand the truth behind the facade. If you found this story as compelling and bewildering as we did, remember to like, subscribe, and comment below with your thoughts. Share this video to bring more attention to this intriguing case, and turn on the notification bell to stay updated with our latest true crime stories.